Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining me. I am your host, Ray Roberts. This is Intangible Commerce Podcast, where we're going to unpack all the intangibilities of the market today. And straight out of the presses, we've got the UAW strike, and that's coming right bigger and bigger. It's like they're going in waves. It seems like we're adding more and more and more fuel to that fire. On the back half of that, and I wonder if this number is indicative of the fact that the UAW strike is having an impact on our ability to create automobiles. But thanks to that, and no thanks to that at the same time, retail sales rose. September, we saw a almost 1%, let's say 0.7% rise, which was stronger than estimated of what we expected to see. The economy, by all indications right now, in terms of buying, is staying strong. It's staying high. I've spoke about this before, though, as I feel like it's a bit of a red herring in the way that if you look at also financially, Americans are using more and more and more credit than ever before in the history of the country. So there's some things to talk about there. Now, the banking thing is also another concern when we talk about having more and more credit. You know, then you've got more and more risk. So maybe something to talk about there. But Amazon Prime. I'm hitting my shaking the camera. I'm hitting my desk sore. Amazon Prime Day just ended. So you'll kind of know when I'm recording this. It just ended. The numbers are not in yet. We're still waiting on confirmation from the numbers, and so we don't have them. But if we go back to the, astronomical increase from Prime Day 2022 to the summer Prime Day, what was that, June, July 23, 12 some odd $12 billion. I think, no, what was that? Whoa, I need to hang on. Let me clear my throat. Excuse me. I think we're going to see something on par with that. I think people are more willing to spend on Christmas, more willing to spend in Q4 than they typically are at any other part in the year, especially summer. Summer is like a weird time. Like, unless you have birthdays and such, like you're buying gizmos and gadgets that you think are cool. They're typically going to be purchases for yourself, maybe for a loved one, or somebody that you know is looking for something very specific. What I think is very different about Prime Day October, anyone who's in e-com will tell you that's when the sales kick up. It's not, everybody thinks, peak season starts in November. No, it doesn't. It starts in October. In some cases before, but October is the month where you're tightening the belt, right? You're buckling down. Things are starting to kick up. So when we look at this Prime Day strategically placed, in October, makes a heck of a lot of sense. And I think because of that timing, we're going to see higher sales than what we even saw. I don't know if it's going to be astronomically higher. I think we're going to hit around the same 12 billion, 14 billion mark that we saw in the previous Prime Day. Simply because of the end of the year, I think it is going to tick up a little bit. People are more willing to spend and open the purse strings on things for Christmas. That is for sure. American budget. I've actually wrote an article about this before. Some $64 billion. It's absolutely incredible how much money was spent online just during Christmas of 2022. So, looking at that in its totality, right? Cars are selling because they're not making any. They're trying to get probably bought out before or sold before the price starts to go up and up and up. Because supply and demand, right? We all learned about that in business school and economics or any other time, any other place in your life that you've heard that term. Guys and gals and folks listening, your boy's struggling today. I got this really dryness in the back of my throat, like in the, that like when you take a drink or something, you get that real dryness. It feels like it's in the back of your throat. You take a drink, it's like it's not hitting the mark. That's what I got going on since this morning. So knock on wood that I'm not getting proper sick. We'll see. Well, I'll report back on that live at 6:00. Is Ray Roberts from Intangible Commerce sick or not? But yeah, so great news coming out, the September numbers and all these things. Yeah, they look really good. We really smashed expectation, which is very positive outlook. My concern is still, though, how much of that was on credit. We've had the banks having some issues, although Bank of America, I think it was Bank of America. Let me look. Bank of America. Yeah, Bank of America. Profit rose by 10%, although they're still saying to be cautioned because of the credit risks. There's so much of it out there. And I'm speaking for everybody, right? And I'd love to get your thoughts and opinions. Comment down below. What are your thoughts on the state of the commerce right now? Do you think it's because of credit? Do you think it's because people saved and were just prepared for this Q4 that these numbers are starting to climb back up? What's driving that in your opinion? What brings you to the table too? I guess we have to look at, so background, right? I've got 3 kids. I've got 3 teenagers, 2 girls, 1 boy. Shout out to my beautiful babies. And I know that even just asking them, hey, what do you guys want for Christmas? Like, what are you thinking about? What are some of the needs you have or wants that you have? That kind of thing. Even my kids are being a little bit more practical this year in what they're asking for, and actually more conservative than what I would have thought. It's almost like, well, and maybe it's because I have a podcast, so I do talk about, and they are exposed, right, to economics quite frequently. I'm a business owner. I work in software sales, right? So I help business owners with their strategies. So okay, maybe that's a me thing. I don't know. Hey, comment down below on that too. Do you talk economics to your kids? Do you keep them abreast on what they should and shouldn't know on business and why it's important? Because households are like businesses, right? You have money coming in, you don't have customers, you have jobs, but then you have expenses, you have business expenses, but you also have goals and plans and future things that you want to invest in and do with your house, with your life, with your family, etc. Whether that be buying a new car that provides you conveyance, whatever it might be. You should treat yourself like a business, and that will help you quite a bit if you don't. So shout out Financial Advisors. Comment down below what you think about that. I'm hoping to get some comments. If you guys can't tell, I'm asking for some comments today, baby. Come on, let's have a conversation, okay? So anyway, my kids are exposed quite regularly to economics and business and how decisions are made. So perhaps that's them just being more in tune than normal. But instead of like video games or, I don't even know, whatever, like they're asking for things that are more practical. My daughter's an engineering student, and she wants a larger monitor so she can draft easier and view calculations and such easier. So it's like, oh, that's a very practical thing. I'm sure she's gonna also watch a lot of YouTube or whatever else on it as well, but it is a practical piece of machinery that she can use multi-purposely. Examples like that, right? I'm still gonna get them some fun stuff because I'm a fun dad, but that's what I'm looking at, and through that lens, I think Americans in general aren't very practical. I think in general we are still very impulsive buyers. We're still very emotional, and that's why we're seeing this huge increase in the use of credit in the market, and how risky that is for us to prop our economy on credit. And that is, driven by a lot of things that do go deeply political, and you can't talk about them without going deeply political. So I'm very interested to see what happens. Of course, we have election year is coming up, so it's going to be a lot of back and forth. We're already seeing all the bickering and arguing and nonsense on the debate stage. Does anybody else find it hard to follow? Am I the only one that tunes in and then just it's gripe? Like, I know they've always sort of been that way, but there's no civility anymore to the debate stage. It's really just a bunch of people bickering at each other, and yelling at each other, being overtly flamboyant with each other, and because they've seen a candidate do that and have a lot of success and build a cult-like following. They've seen other political powers and opponents and whatnot smash them in the polls because of their outward, over-the-top behavior that I don't know that I like. I never liked it. It never resonated with me. But I also consider myself to be a more practical person. I'm a more data-driven person. I like to understand the problems, and I like to run equations to understand how different outcomes would have different effect. And so I'm not so sure that that type of candidacy works for voters like myself. So I'm going to ask for it. And a screenwriter's credit. If you called this, comment down below what you think. Does the over-the-top flamboyancy tune you in or turn you off? Because for me, I just find it super annoying. It's like, guys, maybe that's a thing because I'm a parent, right? Maybe that's a parent thing. When I hear my kids bickering and arguing and going, man, I can't freaking stand it. So it could be just a byproduct of the fact that I'm tired of my, kids yelling at each other, and I don't want to hear grown adults yelling at each other that are supposed to be on the same team, but they're clearly not. There was a shout out to Indiana's 19th district, Sarah Houch, our congresswoman. She had a luncheon, a couple months back, maybe 6 months or so, I forget, it was a while back, and someone had asked in the audience, she was taking questions, they had asked, is it as bad as what we see in the news? Like, is everybody at each other's throat all the time? And she says it's not like that at all. Like the way the news portrays how our Congress works and how these folks, seemingly in the news cannot collaborate to save their lives. It's not like that at all. Complete opposite in a lot of ways. Not every way. There are those who you will not get through, but there is a lot of bipartisanship. And maybe I'm speaking for myself, but that is what I want. I want a group of people who don't always get along on everything. Any of you guys out there and gals and folks out there who have ran a business or been part of a decision-making strategy or a go-to-market, not everybody's going to agree on everything. And that's okay. It's fine that we're like that. We should be like that. I should be different than you. If you see something very tunneled in one way, if I just agree on your tunnel, well, what happens if we're wrong? I should oppose you. You're tunneled. You see everything through lens A. And I say, well, what about lens B, though? What if this? And what happens when we see that? And remember, because this has happened before, what then? If we're not ready for contingency, if we're not open to the idea that something could be different than the way we see it, we're screwed. We're just screwed. And I don't see that in our current leadership. I don't see that we're able to work together and get along in a way that is cross-collaborative so that we can do what's best. Yeah, hey guys, not perfect, but we're 90% there with what we've got in front of us. Let's take action with this 90% plan, and we can tweak the next 10 as needed. We can look at the data and then set a revisit date. Like, why do things have come to law and they're so hard to take back? I mean, is that maybe part of the problem? You put something in place and it's bloody impossible to rip it out. It was like a trial period. When I sign up for HBO Max, I may not like all the content. I can look at the content and go, okay, I came here for 90% of this and I've consumed it. And now I'm going to stick around because I like the other 10%. You got a lot of cool stuff at it. But if I don't like it, man, I can turn it off. Hey, it's not working for me. This isn't right. We discovered something that we didn't think about. Because sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And until you get in it, you're not going to know it. We need a do-over in the way we put laws into place. The do-over clause. We call that the Ray Roberts do-over law, the intangible commerce law, the flippity flop. I don't know. We're gonna workshop the name. We're gonna come up with something really cool. But until we do, we really, really need to consider and think about how things are done at that level. And I mention that only because the way that things are going right now, and I know the consumer numbers look good and people are spending, I'm still concerned. I'm still worried that the ceiling, we haven't quite hit it yet in reality. Like, there's going to be a time when people are so maxed on credit that bill's going to come due and they're not going to be able to pay it. Because you had people selling their houses and consolidating and making a bunch of money, then moving into cheaper houses. But now that's not a thing. It doesn't exist anymore. So that's gone. We're striking. Cost of goods are going up. Panama Canal stops. Cost of goods are going up. We have turmoil in the Middle East. Cost of goods go up. Turmoil in the Far East. Cost of goods go up. Grain, food, etc. Chinese-U.S. relations, not so great right now. Cost of goods go up. You have Temu directly attacking the U.S. economy. Cost of goods are going up because we're siphoning off money from our own economy and shipping it over to China with a pretty little bow on top. So all these things combined, man, we really need to look at and consider, what do we need to do? And the one thing that we need to do is come together under a common goal and turn the ship around. Ship with a P. So just so I hit the language filter correctly. But enough about that topic. Let's move on to some other more encouraging news. With this Q4 approaching and upon us and here now, comes the ability for us to look into next year. What do we do? What does it look like, for you? When I consider my new year, I kind of look and go, what were my goals this year? And if you don't set yearly goals, let's talk about it now so you have a little bit of time to get prepared for a yearly goal. So a yearly goal can be anything from financial. Let's say you are one of those folks who have spent a little bit of credit card money or expect that you're going to for this holiday season. Not dissing you for it. Absolutely. I do it too. Let's get on there. Let's do that together. But one of those goals should be to pay down or pay off that money in a certain time period. It should also be, if you don't have a 6-month savings, you absolutely need to have that, right? This is Intangible Commerce is turning into a financial advice channel on this fine Wednesday. Excuse me. Had to take a drink. That itchiness in my throat, it's bothering me. Need to work on that. But anyway, goals, right? So when you look at, you need to take and figure out what goal you want to set. Is it a financial goal? Is it a personal goal? And why do we do it now? Let's not wait. Don't wait until, new year, new me, all right? You need to set your goal and start working towards it before the end of the year. Why? Well, everybody knows habits, right? And it takes 2 to 3 weeks to form a habit. So I've got on my phone, mine has been to work on my nutrition. Let's go behind the curtain, right? Cholesterol's a little high. I'm getting older, so I need to work on things. I said my blood pressure was high. I started making dietary changes, and my blood pressure now is in a perfect range. I'm also continuing those changes to help bring down my cholesterol and other things. In addition to financial goals, you can have many goals, and you should. You should. You're a multifaceted creature, and you guys are wonderful, beautiful people. So let's together come up with multifaceted goals, right? Let's be healthy. Let's be wealthy in the new year. But we can't wait to the new year to start that goal, because it's all too easy under the excitement of the new year to set things that you're not going to do. And if you go back to what I had just said, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And if you say, hey, I want to lose 30 pounds, 20 pounds, let's go with the weight loss because that's everybody's thing, right? That's everybody's shtick. So you say, I want to lose 20, 30 pounds, but you don't know what it takes to lose 20, 30 pounds. You don't know that you need to bring your calorie intake down to under 2,000 calories a day, and you're sitting at 4,000 or 5,000 calories right now. You don't understand how hard that is, right? So we start now. Set your goals this week, and let's start working and executing these goals so you can fine-tune and tweak, and by the time January 1 rolls around, you've A, already started, you've B, created the habit, and C, you've discovered what you don't know. So you've had time to actually thoroughly plan that action out and be intentful with what you're doing. So that is the intangible commerce way of handling goal setting. And in this new year, I'm hoping that through this channel and through you fine folks who are tuning in every week, thank you so much. I really appreciate you all. I'm hoping that we can grow the channel to 1,000 active listeners. We dance around, but we're sitting around 100 right now, active listeners per episode. So really appreciate all you folks that have been hanging out with us for the duration, for the time that you've spent listening to me ramble on about business. And I do hope that we also get comments. I really want to interact with folks. I think that'd be so much fun to have a conversation. So check us out. We're on LinkedIn. We are on Spotify. We are on Apple, and of course YouTube. We will post so you can, if you want to see the studio. I've got this cool. This is real, by the way. People sometimes will ask me, "Yeah, it's real." I've got these lights set up. I can change the color and all these things. And actually, if you look over here, I mentioned my daughter's an engineering student. On the shelf in the back are some little trinkets and things that she actually 3D printed, which is pretty freaking cool because she did that maybe 2 years ago. Yeah, about 2 years ago now she 3D printed those out. So super neat. Yeah, but okay, so let's set some goals. Let's work on this together. We're going to shorten the episode a little bit this week because I want to focus in and try to find these Amazon numbers and start drawing some comparisons. So I'll spend some time doing that. See if we can analyze the overall consumer experience for what we should expect people to spend in this coming Q4 now that we're there. And let's do it. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me on this beautiful episode of Intangible Commerce, and have a great day. See ya.